Welcome to the Spin Wiz Comic Show.
Whoa.
From Raleigh, North Carolina. Join us for exclusive interviews with the publishers bringing you the newest titles in indie comics, webcomics, movies, and more.
No way.
And now, here's your host, Jeff Palumbo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. As always, I am your host, Jeff Palumbo. Wonderful seeing you tonight on this lovely Sunday night, at least here in North Carolina. I think it's like 74 degrees still. If you're watching and you use a different type of, temperature gauge, then it's warm. So if you're on, thank you so much. It's great having you here. I have two guests tonight that are showing up together, and I'm super pumped about it. I'll get to that in a second, but I wanted to let everybody know, just because of the United States and the way things are going in the election process and all the other stuff, we will not, do not, and shall not cover anything that's political on this channel. So if you do so, feel free, or if you do want to talk about it, you're on the wrong channel. There's probably some jackass somewhere that's spewing all sorts of garbage that you can jump into. Otherwise, we talk about cool stuff like comics and movies and then back to comics and a couple of movies and some music here. So it's the wrong channel for you. However, I will say if you are here, we have a great show for you tonight. I'm telling you, you're going to want to stay on for this. Two people. We have Brandon Rhiness is back. He's the man. You love him. You know him for Higher Universe. It was comics, and now it's actually movies. We talked to him 2 weeks ago, and I swear to God, he probably has already signed multiple multi-million-dollar deals already just in the couple of weeks that I had him here, because he's like exploding all over the Canada scene. He's going to be in the U.S. soon. I'm going to get his John Hancock on something soon, just so I can say I knew when, and he won't even talk to me anymore at that point. But in the meantime, he is bringing with him Elizabeth Chamberlain tonight, who I have never met. I mean, offline real quick, as we were talking beforehand, she seems extremely lovely, multi-talented, both an actress and a singer. There could be some other things in there. I don't know. We only talked for a couple minutes before we jumped on. She is the star of The Haunted. She is also... I'm Haunted, excuse me. I got somebody talking over me in the back. You guys can't hear him, but I'm Haunted. My bad. I also Grotesque. And I think there's a hot box in there too. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But enough of me talking, because I'm just going to screw it all up. I'm going to bring them in. Brandon and Elizabeth, are you there?
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yes, and you will be happy to know, Brandon, that this time there is no lag.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we're good to go. So thank you both for being here. Greatly appreciated. So you have all sorts of stuff to unpack right now. Elizabeth, this is the first time meeting. It's very nice to meet you as well. Brandon, do you want to start in... Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Grotesque? Do you want to start with Hotbox? I mean,
maybe talk about Hotbox. I guess that was it wasn't Elizabeth and I's first time working together, but that was kind of out of the three main projects, that was the first one we did. So it's always a good place to start. Okay.
Tell us a little bit about Hotbox, and then Elizabeth, why don't you jump in and let us know what you were doing as part of the mix and how you like working with this like super all-star up here.
Well, Hotbox, it's a stoner comedy.
What?
I wrote in... What?
You do stoner comedies?
Yeah, I don't only do horror. Hotbox, I wrote and directed it. It started as I was trying to find a way to make a movie that took place kind of all one location with a very small cast that we can do super cheap. Somehow throughout the development process, it became kind of the exact opposite of that. It went to being the biggest cast I've had by far. I think we had like 58 speaking roles.
Oh my gosh!
Characters. It turned into a pretty big shoot. But yeah, the original concept was it was going to all take place in one car at a party where people went to Hotbox to smoke weed in, and all this like drama would happen in and around this car. As I started writing the script, I kind of decided, maybe I should have a few scenes in the house where the party's taking place. And then kind of as we were working on it, we scored this really awesome location, this like mansion basically that we got for, basically nothing. So once we had this cool location, I was like, you know what, maybe we should have even more in the house. So at the end, kind of most of the movie takes place in the house, and some of it takes place in the car. And it just kind of grew into this big project, and we actually pulled it off. We finished a day early. We had 12 days of shooting plan, and everything went so smoothly. We actually finished it in 11, which is extremely rare. It was such a great experience, and there's so many just classic moments and classic characters in there. I was worried, the first night we screened it at the premiere, I was worried that no one would find it funny, because I'd never really shown my kind of comedy chops. But everyone was laughing, and we had a great time. And to this day, it's kind of building up a cult following that's getting bigger and bigger, and people seem to love it. So it's available on Amazon Prime, so you can watch it now. But Elizabeth, we were lucky enough to have her play Mary, who was one of the three kind of super religious weirdos that show up at the party with the intention of turning everyone away from their partying ways. And by the end, they I won't ruin it, but they kind of have a change of heart. But yeah, I'll let Elizabeth talk about that.
Yeah, it was super, super cool to be on the set of Hot Box. That was my very first, real film with a full set and a giant crew and lots of cast members and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. And the like Brendan said, the location was just to die for. It was so cool. And then everybody ended up donating, or not donating, but lending their furniture and stuff like that. So the actual set itself was built based on everybody's little contraptions here and there that we set up. So that was really fun. Yeah, and I played one of the religious trio, and my character is so funny because she's so innocent but so not in a way. And I was actually raised Catholic, and so I feel like I had seen a lot of my kind of character type in my life. I'm very familiar with it, so it made it very easy for me to play. And yeah, and I feel like you can't have a bad time on a comedy set, nobody's serious. Everybody was having a great time, and we were acting like we were at a party, but we also were kind of at a party at the same time just because it was so fun. Yeah, I really liked it. I was kind of honestly kind of worried about doing a stoner comedy because I obviously hadn't read the script before I auditioned. So I was like, I don't know where this is gonna go, but it's honestly super funny, and it'll be funny for anybody regardless. It's very universal funniness.
That's awesome. And is that the first time you two both worked together?
No, we actually worked together on Cold Comfort before that. That was another one of Brandon's films. But this is the first one that he and I had both been on a set together, because originally I had only done voice acting for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So have you done acting prior to this? In general, have you always been an actor, or do you prefer actress, or is it?
It doesn't matter. I think actor, actress, same thing.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, no, I know some people have a contentious idea about that, but I don't care. But yes, I have been an actor for quite a while now, but most of the time I do theater acting. Well, I had done theater acting. Now I'm more into film than I used to be. But up until that point, I had really only done theater. But I had just moved to Edmonton to take acting at the universities here, and that's when I first auditioned for Brandon. He was the very first person I auditioned for. That was a real filmmaker in Edmonton. So yeah.
That's awesome. And Brandon, she just called you a real filmmaker. How does that make you feel, man? I mean, it's not enough winning all these awards, but now you have people actually saying real filmmaker.
Yeah, I guess I finally made it.
Dude, good for you. That's great. So what else have you... So I linked, just for everybody knows, I already linked Hotbox on Amazon.com in the chat. Now, if you are not on Facebook Live, but you're on YouTube, just scroll below us, and there's going to be a bunch of links. Click on that, buy it. I haven't watched it yet, but I think I'm going to, because I'm a Prime member, yeah. And I think I'm going to grab it. Well, I mean, I have to wait till my son goes to bed. I mean, again, this stuff's not legal in the United States, at least where I am. So,
right.
Yeah. So none of this stuff is And don't want to have to explain to my 8-year-old son why it's so smoky in the car, and why there's 3 what I would consider nuns or sisters or some religious sect of Catholicism probably doing, debauchery and things of that nature by the end. So, yeah. Anyway, I will get it. I promise.
Well, you can tell your son that we were actually smoking oregano on set, which is very true. We were.
Yeah.
Oh, that can't be good.
No, way better than marijuana. I don't know. I don't think any of us would have been very productive if
That's
we
true.
were smoking oregano.
Doesn't it hurt? Doesn't it burn?
Yeah, we had some complaints, but
It is what it is.
Some of the people that smoke cigarettes, they would smoke tobacco or something. But yeah, there's a lot of oregano. There's a lot of that horrible smell in the garage. But we had to make do with what was appropriate for it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been a day under if everybody was actually smoking pot on set.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a very expensive shoot as well, I'm sure. So, after Hotbox, Elizabeth, what did you get involved in with this gentleman right here? What was your next to do?
Our next, we ended up shooting some of the principal video shooting for Cold Comfort, which I had said that I had done just voice acting on. So we did that, and then we moved on to I'm Haunted,
Yes.
which is a web series and a movie.
Mm-hmm. Which I have to see, Brandon. That was the one that when we had talked months and months ago. And I had you on the show. We were talking about that. Let me drop the link in here because I think everybody should definitely check this out. I think it's going to blow your mind. So I'm Haunted. Brandon, I think I'm going to have you do it because I don't think that I do the pitch justice as the way I think. Because when you had originally told me, you're like, oh, it's going to be a web series. But you did it in a very particular way that was very spooky and almost viral. Like you did it in a very cool, you released it in a cool way. Do you want to tell everybody about kind of how, because now they can watch the whole thing.
Yeah, it all came about. We were actually, it was last time we were shooting what we called Horror Weekend, where we shot kind of like 5 short horror films in one weekend. And right around the time I was trying, we were spending a lot of money on these projects. I was always trying to find a way that we could make something cool that wasn't going to, cost me a huge amount of money. So I kind of came up with this idea that turned into I'm Haunted. And I remember we were walking to, we were shooting in a park near my house, and the whole cast and crew were walking there. It was only a couple blocks away, and I pitched the idea to Elizabeth because I imagined her being in the main role. She was interested. So basically, what it came down to was it would be shot like on a phone or a laptop, and basically the entire thing, it's kind of like a found footage movie, but it's about this woman played by Elizabeth. Her name's Genesis, and she thinks her house is haunted, and she begins this like video blog to kind of document the stuff that's happening and kind of describing what's happening in her life from day to day. So we shot it, and a lot of the time, there's quite a few characters in it, but a lot of the time it was just me and Elizabeth kind of shooting it ourselves. It was meant to look like, there wasn't a professional crew, it was just one person filming.
Mm-hmm.
And we released it kind of in real time. So even though we filmed the entire thing over the course of like a few weeks, we released them kind of one a day or every 2 days over a couple months. So they looked like this was happening in real time. So when it was Christmas in the video, she would talk about how it's Christmas. And kind of, these paranormal things started getting worse and worse. And, I won't ruin it, but you'll have to watch to see what happens. I think there was 52 or 56 episodes in total, or 60 some, I can't remember now. But so you can watch them all now, back to back if you want. But we're also, now that we have the whole thing done, I combined it all into a movie. And when I put them all together, it was like 2.5 hours long.
Whoa!
Which is way too long. So I had to cut out more than half. So I cut it down to about an hour and 20 minutes. And the story, it's completely different if you watch it all in one go. And it's kind of like, I just cut all the best stuff together. So it's a kind of a completely new experience. I'm hoping to release that fairly soon. It's nearly finished.
Awesome.
And I also released it as a book. It's kind of told from her point of view. So I released it as my first novel, and I've been getting some great reaction to that as well.
That's awesome. So Elizabeth, when you two were talking about this, were you just, I mean, have you done horror before in theater, or were you just like, no, this is dope, let's do it?
Honestly, I would do anything with Brandon. I remember I was on set and I had no idea what he was talking about. He was like, he just came up to me and he's just like, hey, I had this idea for this thing. And I'm like in the mind of whatever set we were doing or whatever scene we were doing at that point. And I had no idea what he's talking about. And I was just like, yeah, let's do it. Like, sure. And then he was like, okay, cool. And then I was literally getting changed for my next scene. And I was sitting on the bed in the house that we were shooting in. And then afterwards he walks in, he's like, can I just like take a picture of you right now for the poster? And I was like, I guess, like, this poster for this thing that you came up with like 2 minutes ago, like, sure. So I don't know, I just feel like me and Brandon were like, we just kind of like really trust each other with this kind of stuff. We're just very like, I really respect him as an artist, and I can tell, like, I can feel that respect back. And so, like, no matter how crazy the idea is, I feel like as long as we're together, we'll be okay. We'll figure it out and it'll be good.
That seems to be his MO.
Yeah, it is.
Like he just randomly comes up with ideas, and then somebody will be on set and he'll be like, what do you think about this? And they're like, yes. And then they get back to work, and then, 3 weeks later, you're like, remember when you said yes? You'd be like, yeah, I think. And you're like, there's it is. Like, dude, you crank out more cool content. Like, weren't you talking like about this book full of content or ideas that you had? Like, is that what does one just pop into your head and you're like, this actress would be awesome for this?
Yeah. I got a lot. I got a book and stuff on my computer. I got thousands by this point of just like ideas to build on, and movie titles and everything. I was even going through it today, and they're all so good. I want to make all of them, but it's just, there's not enough years in a human lifetime to do them all. But as they come, certain things kind of rise to the top, or I'll think of new things, and hopefully as we get bigger budgets and more access to money, we don't have to struggle with that. I can start doing bigger things and more of them. But yeah, I just learned when I started doing this that I just don't like to hesitate. I mean, so many people just talk about things they want to do, and then 6 years later they're still talking about the same project. Whereas I'm just kind of, I've even met people, people, they want to meet me for coffee to discuss a project, and they want to work on something, and I'm like, okay, let's set a date right now. I'm like, it's like, October 23rd. How about we do it that day? And they're like, whoa, like I wasn't expecting to be that hardcore about it. And I was like, well, you kind of got to be. If we're going to do this, let's actually do it. And so it's kind of like, once I set my mind to it, it just like, I got to make it happen. I'm not just going to talk about it and keep talking about it. It's kind of like, my life is now about making this project. And, it doesn't always work. Sometimes things fall through, but like, I just work hard at making it. And it's kind of where I've gotten to where I am, especially being an indie kind of writer. And that's how I make my money. I can't be a thinker. I got to be a doer. I got to write stuff. I got to write a lot of stuff and just push it just to be able to sell enough to kind of keep the whole operation going and keep the bills paid. So yeah, it just takes that level of determination.
Well, you hustle. There's no doubt about that. I don't think anybody can say that you don't. That's for sure. So back to Elizabeth, when I'm haunted, being that this is kind of your first horror-esque type show or movie, I guess you could say. I was going to say web series, but I guess now you can call it a movie. Did you have to try to get into any type of specific character for this, or were you just like, nope, I've got it, and it just kind of clicked?
I think honestly, a trap with acting is playing a character type or playing like an idea of a character. I think all characters are like the same. I don't know. In my brain, like no matter what the theme of the actual movie is, like that's the writer's job, and that's the camera job, and that's the producing and the editing and stuff. Like my job is just to be a real character within the confines of the script. And so I don't think I had to play like a horror character, I just played Genesis, and Genesis was going through a rough time.
I got it.
Yeah.
You're a method actor.
Oh no, God, no. Once I leave the set, I'm done. No.
And I got to say, as praise for Elizabeth, that script was hard. About 98% of it was her looking at the camera and talking.
Wow,
so she
that
just
is
had,
tough.
Like nonstop. It wasn't even really lines to memorize. It was just like pages of script, and we would do like 15 pages a day or 20. Like it was a lot. And she would just have to memorize these massive chunks of it, and we just do it over and over and over until she got it. And I have no idea how she did that. That was incredible. So yeah.
I could never be an actor because I can't memorize like that. So I get like, how did you get through that? Or is it just like, hey, we're doing this one. If you mess it up, it's not a big deal. Just go back and do it again. Like, was it it had to have been open like that because there was, like you were saying, it was just kind of like ripping through script. But is that how you got to it? Be like, okay, I'm putting myself here. I know what you want to get across. Like, could you ad-lib it all? Or was it just kind of like,
Well, so Brandon writes and like when he's told me before that when he writes for me, like he knew I was going to be this character, he writes in his mind how he thinks I'm going to speak. And so for me, it's like very natural. Like when I read it, I'm like, yeah, this is what I would say. Like, this is how I would say these words. So the only thing I could do is I could just be really, really, really familiar with the script. Like I read it like over 10 times. I just read it lots and lots and lots and lots. Became really familiar with the script. And then I was also really busy around this time. And I told Brandon that. I was like, honestly, I don't know how much I can like memorize because I have like 6 days of 10 hours each for school right now. Like it's a lot. And he was just like, that's fine. Like, we'll just memorize it on the day. It'll be fine. So yeah, he was very like, he was very,
it'll be fine.
Well, and it makes it easier for me. Like, it's way easier if I'm trying to memorize something with no stress than if there's a bunch of pressure on me. I'm not going to get it right. And there's lots of times in which I did ad-lib like something or something here and there. And there were a few times where he's like, no, go back and redo that. But there was a lot of times where he was like, I actually like that better. That looks good. We'll go with that. So I don't know. It was a little bit collaborative.
A little give and take.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was it was a very interesting shoot too, because usually you just have a lot of crew and people to deal with. A lot of the time it's just us or maybe a couple actors or one actor. And a lot of it we just kind of, okay, time for the next scene, and I'd go and make coffee or something. Elizabeth would sit there memorizing the next 2 pages. Okay, good to go. And then we do the next one, and we got that right. And we would stage like the paranormal stuff. The ghost would like smash a glass or slam a door, and we would kind of make it up as we went. And I'd be like, okay, Elizabeth, how about you're holding the phone and I'll lay on the ground like out of the shot, and then I'll slam the door. We just kind of staged things like that, and we just kind of made it work. And not all the things are perfect, but overall, like I think it worked, especially when you see it all together. It for the amount of time we spent on it and the budget, it was a fun experiment for sure.
Yeah.
Are you going to do a blooper reel?
No. Once the project's done, I'm done with it. I don't have to be searching through footage again to find funny stuff.
Oh, so you cut it, you dump it, and it's on to the next.
Yeah.
Good for you.
The blooper would probably be pretty boring. It would probably be the majority of me just staring at the camera being like, crap, what's my next line? Oh. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be very fun.
So that's 2 down, and now is it Grotesque is coming out? Like, where are we with that? And tell me more about this.
Grotesque is kind of in limbo at this exact moment. I think it was last year we shot a trailer for it. We intended to make it at some point, and then Julie Whalen, who is my co-producer on it, one day she called me and she's like, you know what, like, instead of just waiting around until we have the money, we should just start shooting it. We got a little bit of money, we could at least shoot a few days of it, and then when we run out of money, we'll wait till we get more, and if it takes us like a year or more, well, that's what it'll take. So we started organizing it, and we shot one day. We got a lot of good stuff out of it. And then unfortunately, we just had kind of COVID issues got in the way, and one of our crew had to like isolate for 2 weeks, so we had to postpone, and that interfered with something else. We had to postpone that, and then next thing you know, we're pushing it back to Christmas, and then some of the crew are away for Christmas, so they couldn't do it, and it just got to be too hard trying to constantly move dates around, and I was like, you know what, like, let's just push it back till next spring, because we already have some dates booked in May. Because some of it can't be winter, and it's already snow here. Some of it has to be summer, because it takes place at this like kind of like wilderness retreat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, we're shooting in May. Like, instead of struggling to shoot now, let's just push the whole thing back till then. That'll give, hopefully COVID will be better by then, and we'll just be in a better spot and gives everyone a chance to take a break, because I don't want it to get to a point where it wasn't fun to do anymore and it was starting to be stressful trying to get things to work. And honestly, it was a blow to like not to have to cancel it, because we put all this work into it. We had places rented and we had the shot list and the schedule done, and all of a sudden it's like, you know what, we have to scrap everything for a few months. It was it was kind of a sad thing to have to do, but I think ultimately it'll be better. And then come May, we'll ramp it up again and get it shot, and it's going to be great.
And Elizabeth, what are you doing in this one?
So in Grotesque is honestly my favorite movie I have ever done so far. It's so cool. And it's not like I didn't anticipate it being that cool. I was like, okay, like this is kind of like, fine. And then I read it and I was like, oh my God, this is a masterpiece. Like, this is so brilliant. And I got to play the main character in it. That's insane. So I play a woman in it that she's just had a tough time in life. People are not very nice to her, and she just snaps.
Damn.
She's gone through too much and she snaps. And that's just like really cool because I've never really snapped like that in real life. So that's really fun to get to do.
All right.
Yeah.
And then the rampage continues, I take it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's her character, Mildred Moyer is the name of her character. And she was born with this abnormally large nose that's like 6 inches long. It's just ridiculous. Of course, she's just made fun of. So finally, she just can't take the ridicule anymore. So she wants to get plastic surgery. But, she doesn't have a lot of money. So she gets referred to this kind of cheap back alley doctor who operates out of the basement of a strip club. And basically, he botches the operation and she loses the nose, and she has a big hole in her face instead of a nose.
Oh, damn.
And that just pushes her over the edge, and she just goes on a rampage, basically slaughtering not only the people that made fun of her, but anyone throughout her life that has offended her somehow. It's very violent and grotesque, for lack of a better word, but it's funny, and there's also a heart to it, right? It's not just like a brainless slasher that has no soul. Like there is feeling behind it. I would almost say it's like positive violence. There's like it's almost like it's almost like a lovable, heartwarming movie that is just so horrible in its own way. But there's not a lot of movies like it that I can think of. So I think it's going to be unique, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to love it.
Well, Brandon messaged me one day. I don't remember when it was, but I remember it was like just random. It was out of the blue. It was like we weren't talking about anything. And he's like, what's your dream kind of character? Like, what's the dream kind of character you want to play? And I said, honestly, I really like playing villains who people feel bad for. Like villains who people want the villain to win in this kind of, even if it makes them feel weird and makes them question their morality. And then like a week later, he pulls out this script and he's like, hey, here's a script.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you're thinking May, and so two questions, and it's more about maybe a production type question. First of all, how the hell do you record somebody not having a nose? And two, what do you use for blood?
The blood is, honestly, I don't even know what they use. The makeup artist, they kind of deal with that, some sort of substance. For the
very scientific.
Yeah, you can have the makeup artist on the show. I'm sure there's people out there know how to make fake blood, but I don't deal with that. But and the hole in the nose, it's done with makeup. For the trailer, if you watch it, you can see there's a shot where she's looking in a mirror with no nose, and it's just black makeup shot from an angle that looks like it's a hole. But just because we don't have a lot of money to fake it. For a lot of it, her nose is bandaged, so you just see a stump, which is Elizabeth's normal nose. But considering her nose used to be massive, now just a little stump that's what's left of it. And for the rest of it, she has this cool mask that she wears, so you don't actually see the hole for the whole movie. You only see it in a couple scenes. A lot of that comes down. We have a good makeup team, and those are the kind of things they deal with.
Please tell me she wears one of those old school plague masks.
No, it's a different mask.
All right,
You see the
Is it in the trailer? Okay, good. Yeah. So I linked everybody the trailer. So for those of you that are watching right now, it's in the chat. For those of you obviously on YouTube, like I told you before, just scroll below and you're going to see it right here. There's tons of links to all Brandon's stuff. So you're there. I'm super excited about that. I'm not a I don't like. Well, let me take it back. There are very few horrors that scare me. Most of them bore me. But what I find is that I like the adventure, or the, like you said, kind of like a horror with feeling in it. Mm-hmm. Like it's not so campy, but you can connect, and there's more than just the hack and slash. Like there's nothing wrong with like Nightmare on Elm Street. There's nothing wrong with Halloween. Like those are all great old school horror flicks. But now I kind of watch them and I don't get scared, or there's no suspense factor for me. So I have transitioned to watching ones much like I think Grotesque is going to be for me. And I'm just going to be like, yes, this is great. And Hotbox, of course. Obviously not a horror flick, but obviously one that I have to watch now and report back to you. But I think that's awesome that you're able to do all these different types of horror. And again, that really, are you finding that is your flow, Brandon? Is that horror is kind of what you're not only writing and you're doing, but that you're getting picked up for as well? Because you're doing more work than just what Higher Universe is doing.
Yeah, horror, it's probably my favorite genre like to watch. I mean, I love horror movies. I'm not like so fanatical about it. That's all I'm going to do. I mean, I do other genres as well. Like I just recently optioned a Christmas romantic comedy to a production company in the UK. So, I mean, I can kind of do everything.
Wow.
But horror is always my favorite. That tends to be kind of what I think about. And if I had to pick one genre that I could only do for the rest of my life, it would be horror. But I do like to do other things. And yeah, I think most of the, like, I make my living writing. So I do lots of like writing for hire. I'm working on a kind of like a werewolf skinwalker script now that I'm doing some rewriting on. So I tend to get hired for a lot of horror stuff or thriller, like kind of any of that kind of harder edged genre. But I like doing comedy too, like thrillers. Big on. I kind of like basically anything that comes to my mind. I don't want to be held back by anything, but horror is kind of what excites me the most. And a lot of the projects, Elizabeth and I have a zombie project that we're hoping to do at some point. It's already written. We're kind of just, partly waiting on money, partly waiting on COVID. And that's another one that's kind of horror with a comedy angle to it. And one of these actually I have a script called The Grey House that I actually optioned to a company in LA, and the option ran out just like 2 ago. So I got rights to that back. That's another one that I wouldn't mind doing myself. And that's more straight up horror. So eventually maybe I'll do a straight up horror that doesn't have any comedy elements. But
damn. Okay, well, Elizabeth, what do you have going on outside of... I mean, Brandon and I obviously have known each other for years, so I kind of know his background. I've watched him grow and expand and just kick ass and take names consistently. What do you got going on your... I know you're a student, at least that's what you had said earlier.
Yeah.
But do you... Obviously, I saw that you were a singer, and what do you sing? Or are you part of a band, or do people... how does that whole thing work?
I'm not a part of a band. I do have people that I can get to, I can perform with a band or whatever that I know. And I've done a few videos with people that I've collaborated together and gotten a band together for. But no, I don't have a regular band. I just sing myself, and I songwrite as well. So I write for my own voice. And I dance as well. I'm actually a triple threat musical theater artist normally. So
wow.
So I do singing, acting, and dancing for that. And that's actually what I'm in school for as well. I'm in school for acting, for musical theater and everything. It's So that's what I'm doing right now for that. And I'm also teaching musical theater at a youth program right now. So I do that on my spare time.
Holy cow. It's like, the more of the people that I talk to, obviously I have a day job and then I run Spinwiz Comics at night. But the more of us that are we're driven by the fact that we love being creative. or we love something about that it could potentially be our full-time job being creative. And I think Brandon, I don't know what your dreams were like a kid, but it sounds like you're living out your dreams right now. Are you close to that, or is there something completely different?
This is exactly my dream. Always has been. So.
That's awesome. And Elizabeth, is your next dream to kind of, I mean, do you want to make it big and get into theater? Do you want to keep doing movies, or you just kind of like, you know, I enjoy it and that's why I'm focusing on it? Or do you want to make, is that where, how you're going to pay the bills, is going through and being an actress or actor or singer, or like, how is that whole thing going to work out? Or how do you hope it's going to work out, I should say?
Well, like you said, I think that I can't imagine myself doing an office job or something. I need to be doing things that are creative all the time. I don't think I need to be like famous and popular. That's not really my goal. I really like doing film. I really like it. It just works well for like my, like who I am. I love doing theater and I love doing movies and I love doing TV and stuff, but film is just like what I love to do the most. So yes, I want to do that for the rest of my life, but it doesn't need to always pay my bills. I don't think. There's lots of other creative jobs I can be doing. I love teaching. I love instructing. I love serving people. I love serving the community. I love volunteering. Like there's lots of things that I can do that, you know, satisfies me and makes me money and stuff that are still creative. But I don't know, like I obviously, the bigger set that you're on, the cooler stuff you get to do sometimes. So I wouldn't mind that, but there's lots of people that aren't like a namesake. They aren't the face of the film or whatever, and they still get to do really, really cool things.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I want to do. I don't know. It doesn't matter if I am known on the street or not. It's as long as I get to do what I love for the rest of my life.
There you go. That's a good thing. And I told my wife, I'm like, I would love to have enough money to help other people someday, but I don't want to be famous. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to go someplace and have to, not that again, if it happens that is the plan, that I sign autographs and stuff like that and be that kind of person, but then you're always on. I don't know how those people can feel like they're really themselves. And that must be difficult, especially with a family. So I don't necessarily ever want to be famous, but I love what I do during my day job. And I love what I do at night with SpinWiz. So I'm honestly pretty happy. And obviously if, I can always, if Brandon ever needs me to kick back up my theater background and reprise my role of like Dracula from Bram Stoker's Dracula or something like that, you let me know. And once we can finally travel again, I'll travel up and I'll film with you. Or if you just need a really creepy voice guy.
That'd be so fun.
And for something fun like that, I'd work for free too. Because, why not, right? And then I can tell my kid to be like, listen, Hudson, look at this. I mean, you can't watch this movie because it's really creepy, but, Daddy's on this. And he'd be like, what? So, I give credit to people that are really making their lives out of what they choose to do, because I haven't been able to. I mean, granted, I'm in my day job, I'm in the gaming world. And I've been doing that for over a decade in video games and stuff like that. So I really love my day job. So I can't say I'm not doing what I don't love. But it's not as creative as running a company and like writing my comics. And I've put all that on pause to make sure that SpinWiz can run properly. But eventually I want to do that. And then I want to do philanthropy. Because I think that really helping people out is what I love most in the world. Sure. So hopefully everything will transition to that eventually. But all right, enough of the sappy stuff. You don't need any of that. Anything else? I mean, we've been on for almost 40 minutes now. And I mean, I feel like we've only really just scratched the surface of both of you. Is there anything else you want to talk about while you're here? I mean, it's digital. It's not like I have film.
Well, I guess we can mention, I haven't really told many people, but Elizabeth and I are actually planning our own podcast.
Whoa!
I've never done a podcast before. I've been interviewed on a lot of them, but it's going to be paranormal related.
Ooh.
The type of stuff. So I'm not 100% on the title, but I'm thinking it's going to be called Paranormal Phenomena, or the Paranormal Phenomena Podcast. So I was working on that today. I bought a podcast kit with microphone and headphones and all that stuff. I'm gonna have to go through probably the same process you did, where I got to figure out how to work the whole thing. But yeah, I was working on the format, and it's I don't know, just a way to get kind of my voice out there and talk about cool stuff. And I just find it interesting subject matter. So I'm looking forward to that, and we'll see how that goes.
Like, are you talking about doing interviews with people who have had paranormal experiences or are ghost hunters or?
Not so much. Kind of what I'm planning. I'm going to be kind of interviewing more experts in the field, whether it's just, people that are expert on one subject matter, from cryptids to, hauntings to, anything else like that. But I think one segment of the show, I do want to have a part where people can email us like their experiences, and we could read one or two of them on the air. I'm just, if we get too much into the realm of people with experiences coming on, we're going to have a whole lot of crazy people on the show, which I would rather not deal with.
Yeah.
Not to be
Yeah.
mean.
I mean, I agree. There's lots of crazies out there.
So it's like, but we can give them a platform if they want to, to send us their story, and we'll read it, because a lot of people have that. But
That's called a forum.
I mean, there's just from what I've been doing, the stuff I've been reading on the internet, there's hundreds of just people out there that are experts in one area of the field or not. People, whether it's UFOs or that type of thing. So I think that's the kind of people I'm really interested in talking about. And I'm somewhat more of a skeptic myself. So I'm not getting into this from the point of view of this is all real and I'll believe anything anyone says. But I'm also not going to be a jerk and just deny everything. I'm
yeah,
kind
you
of
don't want to shit all over.
Kind of think about it rationally and hopefully kind of have some deeper discussions about it. That's what I'm hoping anyway. But I hope it's a popular show and people get a kick out of it.
So Elizabeth, are you both just co-hosting, or is this something that you're into as well? You're like, that's great, let's do it, or is it again just kind of getting your voice out there for something? Because you said you've done VO before, so is this just an expansion of that, or if just like, no, this is going to be cool, let's get some sponsors?
Yeah, no, I think it will be really cool. Again, I'll do anything Brandon asks me to be honest. It'll just be fun to just hang out with him and do this. I really like stories. I like learning things. I like people telling me their experiences and why they believe in things and stuff. That's very fascinating to me. So for like my own little selfish reasons, that's why I want to do it. But yeah, to get my voice out there too. I think there's a lot of people that like the way I word things and enjoy listening to me and watching me and stuff. And I enjoy having stuff for them to watch. Like, so I'm also doing it for that reason. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you have to promise me two things. One, you have to make sure that on your show you get a young priest and an old priest and talk to them together, just like some sort of exorcism type thing. Just because that's where it came from. And just see what they have to say. Because I've heard, obviously I grew up Catholic as well, and that's the only thing that creeps me out.
Exorcism?
It's the only thing that creeps me out. Because I watched The Exorcist way too young, and it jacked me up. So it was not what I thought it was, and just bad news. So, and then if you ever want to hear a creepy story, I will tell you mine. And oh
my gosh! Could you imagine us having you on our podcast?
It is one of those stories that you're just like, what the hell? Because it did that. And again, I from a paranormal perspective, I get it. I think that, and this is just my gist, I think that there is what you can consider, all right, there's good and there's bad. So obviously that scale has many variations that we haven't found yet. So I think there is legitimacy to some of it, but it has to, in the world of science, you can't prove it. It just, again, it is a theorem of sorts. But I do think there are certain things like a religious power that you can most definitely have and hold. And I think there is the opposite of that as well, that drains and stuff. So there's good and bad, and I think it equalizes everything. And not to get too hippity-dippity, and again, we don't sell marijuana here, so it's not going to happen on this show. But yeah, if you ever want to talk about that and it's just like, you know what, we're not going to do it on the podcast, but I really want to hear what you have to say, then you just call me and we'll just talk over the phone.
Yeah.
It's
hear your story. Maybe you could, we're kind of putting our pilot episode together now, so maybe you could be our first. Yeah, actually that's one issue I have is like, well, how are we going to do the, reader submitted stories when it's our pilot episode? No one knows about the show. So maybe you could be the first one to start it off, and then after the first show, other people can submit theirs, and then that might work perfectly.
Yeah, that'll be great. That everybody goes from thinking that I'm a pure businessman to thinking I'm crazy. That's exactly where we want them.
Beautiful.
For sure. So, well, let me know about that, so at least I can share it out.
Yeah.
At the very least. So, all right. Anything else you guys want to chat about while we're here?
I don't know.
I mean, we
talked
covered
about
a lot.
People should go to my YouTube channel and check out. There's a whole lot of short films on there.
We
And
got
trailers for movies. Some of them that exist and some that will exist one day. Got all the episodes from I'm Haunted. I got a couple of the animated videos from my animated show Stoner Kid. There's a whole lot of good stuff on there.
There really is. And that's Higher Universe. Again, that's already in the chat. So again, scroll below. Elizabeth, anything you have rocking that you want to pitch while you're here?
Well, I mean, you can always go to my YouTube channel too. I always have like new music stuff on there. It's just all music. It's all me singing. So
okay. Do you want to share that with me later so that I can put it in the YouTube version so it's under with all the rest of the links?
Sounds great.
Okay. Amazing. So, well, listen, guys, hang with me real quick. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody else, and then I'm going to come back to you. Thank you both for being on. Brandon, as always, great talking to you every time I come on, or every time you come on the show, or we talk over chat. It's always something new and cool you're working on, so I appreciate you making time for me. And Elizabeth, wonderful meeting you for the first time, and as things expand for both of you, we're just going to have you on maybe what I would love to do is maybe a live co-stream from the set of Grotesque.
That would be awesome. Yes.
I think that would
Definitely.
be badass. A first time ever for me too. So listen, hang with me, guys. Great hanging with you. I'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Rhiness and Elizabeth Chamberlain.
Thanks for having me on.
You
Thanks for
bet.
having us on.
Talk to you in just a minute. Thank you, everybody. That was my mic I muted. Was I not right? It's like, again, two great people. Brandon and I have been friends for quite some time now. Elizabeth, brand new friend, I suppose. Both super, super, super creative. And again, can't you just by looking at them being like, I knew them when? Because I think they're both super talented in what they're doing. I haven't heard Elizabeth sing, so I don't know if that would be good. I'm sure it's fantastic. But, the fact that Brandon is picking up people like Elizabeth, and a couple weeks ago we talked to Julie, his Rolodex of amazing actors and actresses just seems to be never ending. And he's finding all these people that are just getting into it, or they love it and they all like him, which, I mean, I like him too. So I guess it's not hard fet or, like weird. Obviously he's a very likable person, but listen, go to those links. Help him out. At least go buy Hotbox. I'm going to go buy it tonight. I think it'll be fantastic. Everything this guy touches is just great. His comics are great. Make sure you check them out on spinwizcomics.com. The link is below. And we will have, like I said, if you're on Facebook Live, don't worry about it. But if you're watching this on YouTube, just scroll below, and Elizabeth's YouTube page will be there as well. So y'all have a great night. We will see you on Wednesday for another interview. I hope y'all have a great week. And if it's Monday and you're listening to this, I hope I can get you through your Monday, because that's what I do. Everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Later.